I'm a big fan of Marvel characters,
Yes.
especially
Right.
Iron Man and do the Avengers.
You're in it.
Yes.
You're in
What?
the Avengers.
Oh yes,
I'm in
that's
the
right.
Avengers ride
Yes.
too.
You're both in the Avengers ride.
Yes, in one
the
of the
windows.
windows.
Every time I've ridden it, I'm like, oh, hey, Joanne.
We're civilians in the window.
Immediately, I was just like, this place is special, this place is different. Cecil's confidence and just the vision of the company. From day one, there was a sense that it was always going to grow and it was, there was always going to be more opportunities.
Going to a theme park is the ultimate expression of an IP because you are actually immersed in that IP. That's what really attracted me to Falcons. We are a company that is set for the future.
Hello everyone, I'm Audrey DeLong, back with you for this very special episode of Experience Imagination. Falcons Creative Group is celebrating a big anniversary. On February 1st, we turned 25 years old. I'm sure you've been following our fun posts on social channels. As a company that's been around for 2.5 decades, we have a lot of incredible stories. So for this episode, I'm going to talk to the founders of Falcons Creative Group and some of our longest tenured employees to get their perspectives on what it was like to start and build a successful themed entertainment company and what the journey has been like as we've grown from 1 employee to more than 200. I'm also going to speak with our executive chairman, Scott Demereaux, who co-founded Falcons Beyond with Cecil Magpuri, and Simon Phillips, president of Falcons Beyond. They'll join us to talk about how this forward-thinking company started and how we're reshaping the future of entertainment. So stick around, we'll be right back.
There are moments in your career where you take a step back and truly appreciate the people who stood right beside you. People that have given their time, energy, dedication, sacrificed their personal lives for something meaningful, where they have the same vision as we do. And so when you're aligned like that, there's nothing you can't conquer.
It's my pleasure to welcome our first guest, Cecil Magpuri, co-founder of Falcons Creative Group. Hello, Cecil.
Hi, Audrey. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
All right. We have Marty Magpuri, co-founder of Falcons Creative Group, and Cecil's wife.
Audrey.
Hey. We have Yvette Whitaker, the very first Falcons employee, who now serves as our Chief Corporate Officer. Hey, Yvette.
Hey, Audrey.
And we have David Schaefer, who came to Falcons in 2004, and he's now our Chief Development Officer. Hello.
Happy to be here.
Welcome back to the podcast. So this is all so nice for me to see your smiling faces. 25 years. How do you feel?
I was going to say old, but that's probably not accurate because I still feel young. I'm not old. But 25 years is a long time.
It is.
And as you reflect back on the time, it seems like, wow, that's a long time. But then it also went so quickly. So I'm like, it's one of those things where so much has happened and it continues. It's not like it's a destination. We're still moving forward. We're still growing and continuing just like we did, when we were 1 year old. But when you hit this milestone, it's so reflective. You start to think about, there's so much. I'm flooded with memories that I get emotional, actually. It's just starting to think about some
Well, we
of
have
those
some
milestones.
tissues close by, so
That's good.
don't worry about it. I brought
That's
this.
good. I promised
brought this
myself
for
I'm not going to
everybody.
cry. I'm not going to cry today.
To your point, it feels like a lifetime ago, but it seems like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it's like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Part of the reason for that, though, is I think it's part of who Falcons is we're kind of constantly like changing and advancing. We've as a company, we've never been kind of static of like, oh, we're only going to do one thing. We're always kind of exploring new opportunities and new ideas. So I think that's kind of why
I could see
we
that,
joke
yeah.
about Falcons time and what
Yeah.
Cecil's saying of
Yeah.
it feeling like it's been a long journey, but also feeling like it's a blink of an eye. And I think that's part of the reason why, because it's like it changes.
Well, thinking back to 2000 or even before that, tell us, Marty and Cecil, why did you start your own company?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is deep cut, right? Deep cut, right? Because it's profound. Not everyone understands what transpired. Marty and I got married in 1999, December. And literally 6 weeks later, Falcons was born. And we consider it our firstborn child.
The whole
right?
time I knew him, I knew he wanted to open this business. So this was not a surprise. Timing was the surprise.
Yeah.
Were you ready? Did you feel like, oh yeah, this is it, this is the time?
It was kind of forced upon us, to be candid. Little backstory. Yvette and I were working at a company called Clarity Studios. And so we already had a relationship working, and she was employee number 1 of Clarity Studios Orlando. And so we were working, and we landed significant amount of scope. But I was an employee. And literally on our wedding day, we found out that they were going to lay off the whole Orlando studio. And I didn't know that. We didn't know.
They were kind enough to leave us out of the loop until maybe in the honeymoon when the paycheck didn't arrive.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, something's going on.
Marty and I had to make a decision what to do next. You know, do I start to brush off my resume and start looking for work again, or pull the trigger on the vision? And so
It was a quick decision.
yeah, until we had to secure a 3-year lease on a space without a job.
And the rent amount was like more than our mortgage, and we had just gotten a house. Like,
We just bought a house, we just got married, and now we're putting a down payment and a commitment on a 3-year lease without a job.
And you were putting your own money into this, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
it was a little scary,
Yeah.
to say the least.
That was a lot scary.
But you had to have some kind of vision, an idea, a roadmap for maybe the first 5 years of the company. Was that planned?
Well, I think I've always had an idea of what I wanted as a company. You could see in our business plan, it hasn't deviated much from what we're doing today.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny. Just the other day, I was in Cecil's office and it caught my eye. It's there, like our business plan and the white 3-ring binder. That was, our strategic plan in 2000. And it's interesting because, there's always been a very clear direction by Cecil and Marty of where we were taking the company and what we wanted to do and how we needed to get there. So it was very prescribed, and we just needed to follow the directions. And we certainly have stayed on track. And a lot of those initial, original goals, we still carry on to this day.
Isn't that crazy? A lot of entrepreneurs, they fail at least their first time out. But here you are in 2000 creating your first business, and 25 years later, it's still successful. Like you said, it's still growing. But I want to talk about some of the roots, that you guys laid. I want to talk about the space and because
yes,
there's a story here.
What are these ancient artifacts,
Yeah.
you might ask? So one of my very first memories, and again, to Marty and Cecil's point, look, we still are scrappy, and I'm proud of that. But we were opening up an office, and we needed things. And so I specifically remember my trip to Walmart the day we bought that mug. We needed coffee, the staple items.
Yeah.
We needed coffee. We needed, cleaning supplies, because yes, we all cleaned the toilets in the beginning
I
of
was
the
good
company.
at it. I took pride in it. I was doing it at home, and so naturally, why not do it at the office?
So this mug right here, I told Chance recently, please don't throw this away, as we were purging to move into this space. I said, because
It survived.
Yeah, it survived. And it's a memory. Like, I remember this, and
hey,
it's a
old friend.
reminder of our humble beginnings.
Right.
And of course, our decor, the cobalt blue.
We had a
base.
cobalt blue theme
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
in our, 800 square feet space.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember the Liquid Lounge?
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
The beanbags.
Bags and the
beanbag.
80s lamp.
And
That's right.
foam core printed art that we had, hanging on fish line.
Who did the decorations?
Oh, Cecil, always.
Yeah. He had quite a
My
punchy
interior design
palette.
skill set.
Okay, yeah. One of the many hats.
One of the very first memories I have, and it was actually at Clarity, it wasn't even at Falcon's, but I came in and, I don't know, Cecil must have been in California or whatever. I said, I'm going to rearrange kind of the reception area and change the desk around. And Cecil was very kind about it, but he was like, no, we really need to put it back to the way it was, because there's feng shui and there's, good design involved here. So I was like, that makes total sense. Okay,
Lesson learned.
lesson learned.
It was probably overkill because our lobby was this big. Like feng shui would have made a real difference.
But you like the initiative. You took.
Yeah. It's funny, it doesn't matter the scale, the way we apply our design processes. It doesn't matter if it's a small interior design job or a billion-dollar park. We take everything seriously.
Right.
It's
Every detail.
Simply Masterful kind of always comes to mind. It's a beacon of ours that everything we do wants to be simply masterful.
Yeah.
And so we test ourselves with that constantly as a kind of a filter.
Yeah, we have that on our website. It's in our marketing copy. Where did that come from? Is that there at the beginning?
No, it was a rebranding effort in 2014.
Yeah, remember that day?
We talk about just those moments where there's kind of lightning in a bottle. We knew we wanted to do a kind of a rebranding exercise just to refresh, the company identity and logo and just, make sure we remained aligned. And we actually brought in some, I guess, past colleagues, friends, and some external resources to really kind of brainstorm. So it wasn't just us internally. And yeah, it was like magic that day. It was cool. I think even some of the consultants that we brought in for that exercise, they were like, we've just never seen it come together so concisely. And so, it just kind of shows that the team that we have and continue to have assembled was just in alignment on vision and way of thinking. So really cool moment.
Yeah, I like how you say alignment because it was not just consultants, it was relationships.
Yeah.
I was going to ask that. There had to have been a moment where it was like, okay, we're going to make it now, right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember a certain job?
That's still gone. That's still going on. It's 25 years later. We're going to make it, people. That hasn't ended.
Yeah, nothing's
doubt
guaranteed.
creeps
Nothing's guaranteed.
Nothing.
Nothing's guaranteed. Yeah.
I celebrate a project when it's done, the work's done, and we've been fully paid. Then I'm like, yes, we have a big job. Because
You hold your
just
breath
never
through the
know.
process. Yeah.
So true.
David, I know there's a joke around here that you look the same.
I thought you were
don't
talking
do.
about me.
He hasn't aged, yeah.
So when you started in 2004, you were an intern, right?
Yeah, so in 2004 I started as an intern, and I think, immediately I was just like, this place is special, this place is different, and I think Cecil's confidence and just the vision of the company, I just, from day one, there was a sense that it was always going to grow, and it was, there was always going to be more opportunities, and I think that really kind of got me excited, where it was like, okay, it doesn't really matter what the company is today because it's going to evolve, and I think that's, again, at the time, I don't think I knew how important that was, but looking back on it, hindsight, it's like that was amazing, and I'm lucky that found a place like that. But now I would spread that word to everybody. Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, find a place that you believe in the leadership and you believe that they have the vision and they're going to grow, because I don't think people realize how much that their own growth trajectory can be affected by the company's growth trajectory. And it's like, if you can find a place where that's aligned, then look at us now.
Yeah,
crazy
crazy.
stuff can happen.
57,000 square foot, building, 200 plus employees, chief development officer from intern, in this time frame.
Right?
So how many people are you managing now? Probably 200 people.
Thereabouts.
Yeah, it's a significant amount, including all the ICs and vendors. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Part of that growth has been our office in the Philippines, which, Cecil, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. It was my father who kind of implanted that. He said, when you're successful, you got to give back one day. You got to give back. And he said, there's so many talented people in the Philippines. You that's your heritage. That's something I think you should consider. And I said, wow, that's a really, really good idea. So Yvette flew out and started to vet out what the opportunities were in the Philippines. And we had a relationship with the Enchanted Kingdom owners. It's the only real theme park in the Philippine Islands.
Okay.
And we've been hired by them to help master plan their expansion. And so Yvette reached out to them and said, look, Cecil and his father, and they had met my father when we opened up Dragon's Treasure in Macau. My father flew out with me to see what we had done, and Mario Mamon and Cynthia Mamon were there as well, just happened to be there, and they all met, and we celebrated the opening of our big milestone.
Wow, that is a big
largest
one.
projected dome in the world. Incredible experience. And so Yvette exposed that opportunity, and Cynthia and Mario said, "We'll help you. We'll help you. Here's our attorneys. Here's our advisors. Here's what we think you need to do." And all of a sudden, we're up and running. And now we celebrated 2 years now
Yeah.
in the Philippines.
And you've been there, right, a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
You met the people, you work with them.
I love going there.
Tell us about that.
Oh, it's amazing. I think, you know, one of the challenges that we faced was that I was most concerned about was how are we going to hire all these people? You know, culture is so important here, and we spend so much time and effort making sure we bring on the right people. To do that, you know, so far away, and to do it remotely.
Other side of the world.
Other side of the world.
12-hour difference.
Yeah, exactly. So I was really blown away at the talent that gravitated to Falcons. It was difficult to make a choice because we had so many choices available to us. So we got our first 14 people. They learned a new term. They're the OG.
Oh,
so they
yeah,
call
there you go.
themselves the OG.
They are the OG.
And they are amazing. They are just so smart and so talented and so hardworking. They made it so easy for us to start the company there.
We've over doubled that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Over 30 there.
Yeah,
That's
over
right.
30 employees now.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when we decided to do Falcons Creative Philippines, there were a lot of people in the industry that are Filipino that are expats. They're in Singapore, they're in China, there's a brain drain. A lot of the talent leave the Philippines because there's not a themed entertainment kind of ecosystem in the Philippines. And so a lot of them work for Universal Singapore, but when they heard that we were opening up, they started putting resumes saying, "I want to go back to my homeland, but I don't want to leave the entertainment industry." And so all of a sudden we got flooded with resumes that have tons of experience, unbelievable experience in our space.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that was surprising a little bit, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Like Cheeto is kind of the head of the studio over there.
Shout out to Cheeto.
Shout out to Cheeto. He has 31 years of experience
Yes.
in the entertainment industry and worked for some of the biggest, entertainment companies throughout Asia.
Well, 25 years of history. I know you all have special memories. I'm sure there's been some challenges too. So maybe walk our listeners through like what you've experienced, kind of the highs and lows.
Every time Marty and I would go on vacation, we always had to deal with some drama like contracts.
Oh no.
It was a given.
It was a given. Every
We
time
took our vacations, we made sure we had everything we needed to address any emergency situation that Falcons would have at the moment.
So everything would be calm when you're in the office. As soon as you leave,
Yeah, we button it all up, and all of a sudden,
blankety blank hits the fan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were like, we're going to go on vacation, just be prepared. We were always that way, right?
Yeah.
That was definitely the case. After we hit our 5-year mark, I felt like there was this amazing milestone of awareness of our brand.
Okay.
And so there was a little bit of the wind underneath our wings kind of moment. I just remember that. And we started to get flooded with tons of opportunities. And so we became more selective on what work we had. You know, in the first 5 years was, we'll take whatever,
Anything.
any scope, any type of revenue. Then we became elevated as one of the better and top design firms, and we started to recognize that we could be more selective on ones that we felt were where we'd be most effective. If you look at our timeline on our website, you'll start to see some significant milestones of attractions that we kind of embrace. And so Dragon's Treasure was one of those for me, where we actually started our own digital studio to do content. And that was by necessity. When we landed the job, it was a turnkey job. It was a $40+ million turnkey job,
Wow.
of which a third of that was the media production. And so we went to large studios like ILM, Rhythm and Use, Weta, and they all wanted to be participating in this amazing vision. It was the largest projected dome in the world at the time. But when we finally got the bids back from all these studios, famous studios, they were within the budget because they were passionate about doing something innovative, but they said it would take 2 years to render.
Oh no.
Yeah, none of these studios has ever done 6K resolution, 60
Right.
frames per second.
Yeah.
So we invested and we built our own digital studio, and it's crazy. And we delivered and won the VES award
Yes.
for that. Yeah, on top of it. So,
Yeah.
very proud moment. Yeah.
You checked a lot of boxes on that job. Very satisfying, challenging.
Yeah.
Challenging, world's first.
Yeah. Has anything been as challenging since Dragon's Treasure?
Oh yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Tell us about that.
Well, I have one.
Okay.
Moving into this building.
Ah.
Wow, that really challenged me. I think.
You had 2 days to do it.
Yeah, we really did. You know, we've been just blessed with a lot of work, and we were very busy, and we
No downtime.
Again, the deliverables don't move, the deadlines don't move, no downtime. But this team came together in a way
Unbelievable.
that I was not expecting. It was just the most beautiful thing. People supported each other. We did it. We got into this building in 2 days.
Yeah, it was really quick.
We
Day and a
were
half. Really. You
back
guys
up
were
and
4
running.
hours ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I think part of the success of Falcons is the diversification. So we've worked
Yeah.
in, I think, over 27, 28 countries. That's got to be a reason, right, that you've worked internationally. You're not just all about staying in Florida or staying in the U.S.
I think it was something that was really a powerful reason why we were successful is our, looking at different revenue streams, different types of services, but also different countries. That really helped us.
You became a frequent flyer like that, right?
Oh my
Oh my
God.
gosh, he's got so many
I
miles.
got so many miles.
I always had to make sure he was in town for when I delivered a baby.
Oh, okay. That's important.
Yeah. Yeah.
get with the
we gotta
project
work that-
management.
How many
gotta
children,
make sure.
actual human beings, have been born since you got married?
we have 4
4,
babies.
but 5 is Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons is our firstborn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So your children have seen the company grow.
Oh yeah.
Well, what do they think about it? They have
love
Oh
it.
they have
yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah.
Our older 2 are, well, one's in college and one's out of the nest now, but they both came and worked for a little bit at Falcons, and they said, gosh, we love working there, but we just don't have the chops. These people are so good at what they do.
Really?
So they're both like very inspired to go out there and build their skills and hope for one day to work for Falcons,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, Cecil and Marty.
Thank you,
Thank
Audrey.
you, Audrey.
Yes.
All right, and David and Avad, of course.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I'm sure we'll see you back in a video or podcast soon.
Hopefully.
No doubt.
All right, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. I'm joined by 4 longtime Falcons. Corinne Tao, Director of Graphic Design. Hey, Ren. Hey, Audrey. Hey, Jason Ambler, President of Content Strategy and Innovation. Hello.
Hey, happy to be here.
All right, we have Joe Schaefer, Vice President of Technical Design. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Audrey.
And Joelle Ray, 3D Asset Administrator.
Hi, Audrey.
Hey, so let's just get into a discussion about how long you guys have been here. Right, Ren, out of this group, you've been here the longest. Tell us when you started.
I started January 2008.
Okay. And then Joelle and Jason, you guys were late December 2012?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when Nostradamus had predicted that the world was going to end. I remember it was like the December 23rd, 2012. That's right. And we started, I think, 2 weeks before that. So I figured better go out with a bang.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember it started a week after you.
Yes, a week after. Yeah, Joel started a week after me.
Yeah, and then Joe, you came on board a few months later.
April 2013, yeah. Just right after these guys started, so right into the fold.
Yeah, so do you remember what projects Falcons was working on at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I joined right at the end of Dragon's Treasure, which was a really cool project to just be thrown into. Hey, your first day, we're working on a giant dome full of dragons.
Yes.
It was
Joe?
one big project. It was IMG Worlds of Adventure.
IMG, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone was working on that. That was my very first project, not just with Falcons, but in the industry. And so I have this really vivid memory of the very first thing I ever drew. It was in Haunted Hotel. It was one of the windows that a scare actor would pop out of.
Yeah.
And I literally just drew a rectangle on an elevation. That's it, a rectangle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just drew something that's going to be in a theme park. That's going to be it. And we moved it eventually, but
Things got a little harder after that.
Yeah, it was. But that project was a different animal. It was like a different time.
Haunted Hotel actually came out really, really good.
It really did, yeah.
I know Rick, who's back there recording, we spent many a night alone with creepy
Not the
sound
place to
effects,
be, man.
with
Yeah, explain.
body bags hanging and blood on the walls. And Yeah,
A little creepy.
very creepy.
A little bit.
If it creeps out the people installing it, then something's working.
We're heading in the right direction.
We were
Okay.
thinking it could have been really haunted for sure because we were hearing
Oh,
sounds
yeah?
that were not coming from the speakers.
For me, it was very
Somebody was
special.
playing a trick.
For me, it was very special because I'm a big fan of Marvel characters,
Yes.
especially
Right.
Iron Man and do the Avengers scene. It was wonderful.
You're in it.
Yes.
You're in
What?
the Avengers.
Oh yes,
ride.
I'm in
that's
the
right.
Avengers ride,
Yes,
too.
you're both in the Avengers ride.
Yes, in one
the
of the windows. Yes.
Yeah, every
Oh,
time.
no way.
Yes.
Every time I've ridden it, I'm like, oh, hey, Joanne.
We're civilians in the windows.
But it was fun figuring out, how to, put the 3D models and,
Do the
car
ride.
and line it up. Especially the billboard.
Oh,
that was a
gosh,
good
yeah,
challenge, but I loved it.
Yeah, we made it very hard on ourselves by having a flat plane continuing from content out
Yeah,
into.
physically.
It's about as hard as you get.
But we made it work.
match. Yeah, it
That's
works
what we do
great.
here. Make it work.
That's it, man.
So when you guys were working on IMG at Falcons, how many employees did the studio have?
I have this little chart.
Oh no, let's bust out a visual.
The phone.
These are all of the phone extensions
Wow.
we've had in my time at Falcons when we kept phone extensions.
the
And
last-
the very last one,
Is the first
there
one.
are 22 people,
Oh, wow.
22 extensions. And we were that way for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
we were very, very, very lean for a while. It was years where we were running that.
for sure.
The media team was about 5 of us when we started.
Yeah, very
so-
small.
I mean, it was like, that was the inception of the media
Yes.
team.
Yes,
That was the
it was
very,
the
very
beginning.
beginning.
So we're now in this building, which has been awesome, and we've already been growing into this. And we still do these monthly all-team meetings, which I think is really great.
Yeah.
And we all get to kind of get updated on what we're all doing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you now, it's getting tight up there already. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know where we're supposed to go from an entire floor.
We're doing it out in the field.
Very rapidly approaching standing room only upstairs.
I
Yeah.
know.
For me, I like it better, more personal, in person. I know for a while we need to do it in teams, but I like it when we get together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being in the office, you got so much talent. It's better than being at home by myself. Because
Yeah.
if I have a question, then somebody can help me right there. I know I could always call on Teams, but to me, just having the human interaction is much better.
The creative process thrives when you're around a bunch of people that are also creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you're not in the office, you miss Joelle's Cafecito.
So for anyone that doesn't know, why don't you explain what it is you do here at Falcons for us?
Not your job.
Not your
but
job, the
extracurricular.
cafecito.
No, around
Around
1:20. So I started the cafecito, the coffee around 10 to 1, and then around 1:15, I pour everything, the little cups, and then I send a message, and everybody comes in happy and grab the hot cup of coffee,
It's right
Cuban
next to
coffee.
my office, so I hear
Yeah.
the stampede
Yeah.
Yeah, coming in.
coming down, running past my office for cafe.
I just love it. I just love doing it, Yeah.
So what do you guys think about all the growth around here?
Monumental.
Yeah.
Especially coming from looking at that little list. I always it's humbling to try and remember that because there was such a time where there were so few of us doing such big things, and now that there are so many of us, we can do enormous things together.
Well, Jason, can I ask you about the digital media team? We mentioned it a little bit with IMG, but tell us, that it was in its infancy, I think, when you started.
Yeah.
How did you help it grow? What did you do?
One of the first things I had done was I pitched to a vet who was head of operations at the time. I said, the company I just was working for, they just had gone out of business. They're selling all of their equipment at auction. We were buying all this equipment for literally 10 cents on the dollar and really building out the servers, the switches, the render nodes, the monitors. We got like 100 monitors. We got
Cintiqs.
we got Cintiqs, the artists.
Desk.
We still use them. But we got all those things for really, really good price. And then I think the next week, Joel and we had one other guy come down with us to pick up all the equipment. And Joel had a back brace, like ready to go, like he was like gung ho. And I remember we made it. We were like the last people still moving stuff out of that office. And it was like a large U-Haul fully packed full of stuff. And then we started hiring people that I'd known through the industry, and we really relied on our friends and network and recommendations and word of mouth to really start and grow the team. And it's just continued to mature and blossom. At that time, it was really focused on 3D animation, and now we're into interactivity and games and software engineering. It's really taken on a whole new chapter in the company.
Yeah.
When was that you guys did that?
2012.
2012.
Yeah.
I want to point out that David Schaefer is still using his computer from that purchase.
Wow. Well, they were good computers.
Yeah, they were.
computers.
Yes.
He's still using it.
Wow.
That's
He
amazing.
refuses to change computers.
I think I still have the same keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's molded to my hands.
Yeah.
I don't want to get rid of
Yeah.
it.
A lot of that stuff is still here. All the
Yeah.
desks and things we still use.
Yeah.
Wait,
So it
let's
served
talk
us
about
well.
attraction systems. That was a big part of IMG too. I know, Joe, you've been around to see the debut of a lot of those attraction systems. Do you have any special memories?
As a mechanical engineer,
Yeah, so as a mechanical engineer, I mean, that was super exciting to come in and have a hand in. At the point I started at Falcons, we had already realized Turtle Trek, which was the Spheron product. That was kind of the first thing out of the gate.
At SeaWorld.
At SeaWorld, yep. And then after that was this idea to have a motion platform inside of a dome theater, and that was Circumotion. That was already taking place at IMG.
And Cecil had the original idea, I think in 1999 is what he's told me. And he had a dream about being trapped in a beach ball.
In a beach ball, yeah.
In a beach ball.
And a baby picking him up and like spinning him around.
Oh, wow.
And that was the spark of Circumotion.
Wow.
So a wacky dream became this amazing.
Yeah.
Reality.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I spent a lot of time on IMG when I first started here, but I made it out to site. The attractions weren't running yet when I made it out there, and then when I came back, we had started to move on to other projects, and so we had gone through this whole effort, and I had done all this work on Circumotion. I never saw it, and I didn't see it until a couple years later, and it was just this like amazing moment where we had put so much time and effort into this thing that was one of a kind. There was nothing else like it in the world, and to be able to experience that was amazing.
So I want to ask you a couple questions for each of you. First of all, I want you to tell our listeners what your most special memory is at Falcons. Can we start with Joel over here?
My most special was, I have to say, the Halo experience.
Oh yeah.
Because it was done, it was shown locally, and I was able to go there and see it. We built so many attractions around the world, and it's harder to like fly over there and find the time. But being local, I was able to go there, and I was able to bring my son, and he was very excited. And we play Halo together and see it in action and seeing the props, but then also getting the dome. And he's like, "Daddy, you helped build that?" I said, "Yes, our team did it together." And he was so proud to see something we've done, and he was able to experience. So it was just great.
We also designed something that's now in Halo lore, the honeybee, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
true.
like Falcons made something that is now in the lore.
Yeah, we're
of Halo.
in the Halo encyclopedia that I have in my
canon.
office. It's
I
canon.
love that. That is so cool. Rin, tell us about your special memory.
A project I really liked working on was the Ocean Odyssey with National Geographic, because there were so many graphics that had to be made.
Yes.
So it was really cool working with Nat Geo and all this beautiful animal photography, and
They happen to have great graphic design.
yeah, and it was
sensibility.
really fun like stepping into a graphic designer who works for Nat Geo, because we had to follow their style guidelines and all that stuff. So creating all the wayfinding or the post-show, we had these big plexiglass shapes with all these different deep sea animals or different locations around the world, and it was a lot of fun.
That project was great.
It was.
Did you ever get to see it?
I saw pictures.
Oh, no.
Did you get to see it?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
That was the one in New York
It's
City,
in-
right?
Yeah, how did they look, Joe?
It looks
Did
great.
It look good.
So Jason, tell us about your special memory.
It was actually at the opening of Heroes and Legends at Kennedy Space Center. And it happened to have been, they had this big event. It was at night. They had all the astronauts out there. I had my wife out there with me, and it was my birthday.
Oh.
Yeah. And it was a very cool, crisp November evening. Like the weather was perfect, and it was all outdoors, and they had this big firework display. And you had, 20 astronauts that are there going through this experience. You spent 2.5 years of your life working on it. And, we went through the experience with Jim Lovell's son. And my wife didn't know it was Jim Lovell's son. And so she's like, oh, she's talking about Jim Lovell. Oh, he's cute. And you know who's right next to us, right? That's his son. She's like, oh, he's a cute old man, you know? Yeah, and also it was a flood of memories through the whole project, and it was such a unique build because it had a lot of different components. It had a lot of mixed media. The weight of the moment really kind of came crashing down.
Is that one of your special memories?
One of the most interesting projects I've worked on is the Atlantis Aquarium for FOSUN. And there were a couple things that were really special about that project. Number one was that it was designing in a different way that I've ever had to design before, because we had to design for wildlife and we had to design for fish. Mm-hmm. And all of the tanks had to be designed differently because the life in them required different things in order to thrive. And they were all wildly different, but all had to maintain a cohesive theme when they're varying so greatly from tank to tank. So that was really interesting. But then beyond that is the execution of that project. We had an art director out on site and they just nailed it. Every single one is exactly what we had drawn, and it just turned out so spectacularly.
Well, you guys, I mean, that's about all the time we have. I want to thank you guys for joining us. First of all, Rin,
Thanks,
our veteran, Joelle.
Thank you.
Joe.
Always great to see you, Audrey.
And Jason.
And this was fun.
All right, so we'll be right back. Cecil is back with me now because we're going to talk about a very special time in our history as well as what the future holds. Here with us now is Scott Demeraux. Hey, Scott.
Hi, thank you.
All right, he's the co-founder of Kathmandu and Falcons Beyond. And we have Simon Phillips, who is our president of Falcons Beyond.
Pleasure to be here today.
All right, so I want to talk about the history. Obviously, you two go way back. How did you meet? How did this all come about?
Thinking back, at the time, my company, we were developing the Kathmandu theme parks, primarily in Spain. And we were at a really big growth juncture in the company and really looking to do some beyond anything we'd done before, really kind of a raise the game, raise the bar, if you will. And so I happened to be in Spain at the time, and my wife actually reached out to Cecil and ended up having a meeting with him. And I don't know, they were in Cecil's office for maybe an hour, hour and a half. And all of a sudden I got a phone call from Julie. And she said, Scott, I need to talk to you. I need you to truly get on a plane and come home. It's like, well, Julie, we're trying to launch this and do this. And it was just not, I'm scheduled to come home in 4 or 5 days. And she literally said, from a 1 hour, hour and a half meeting, I have found the partner that we've been looking for all these years. You have to come and meet Cecil. And so sure enough, a few days later, I got back. We got together. And what was amazing is, we come from very different aspects of the business. I'm more owner, operator, build, own, operate. And Cecil is the design and create the product. And our skill sets were very different. But what was really amazing is the philosophy of growing teams and building long-term relationships, both with our partners and our employees and partners. And so anyways, we started to work together. And as Cecil and his team really started focusing on the Kathmandu IP, what was amazing to Julie and I was how they really treated it like it was their own. Mm-hmm. They embraced it and they helped us advance, I don't know, not joking, in a 6-month period, it probably advanced more than we had advanced it in 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And so as Cecil and I just kind of kept talking and developing this relationship, it just became so natural that we could complement. They were already the leaders in the industry from what they did, but this was the opportunity for Falcons to truly, I don't know, maybe the words would be, take more advantage of the skill set that they had for a longer term.
Yeah, so from my perspective, I'm sitting in our theater, right, in the old office. Beautiful theater, and our digital team has done an update to all our content. And so when Julie was coming, Kathmandu's coming, it was a big deal for us because they've been innovative in what they created as a product. They weren't the billion-dollar parks, but they had the same level of big experience, small footprint concept. And we were so eager to participate in that vision because all our products that we're developing was for regional, we're taking the experiences that are for the billion-dollar parks, creating the same level of fidelity and quality, but affordable for others, right? And so if you think about it, Falcon's product was so aligned to Kathmandu's vision of big experience, small footprint. So we were so excited to share that. And so Jason and the whole team produced all these videos, and I wanted to wow Julie, And so she came in, and I opened up with Dragon's Treasure. I opened up with, Bana Hills, and I showed our attractions, and she's like, wow, this is incredible. It's perfect. And then a couple of weeks later, she pulled out our brochure that she had, that we developed probably in 2002.
Wow.
One of our original brochures, and she said, you know what, we've always respected your brand, and that's why I wanted Scott to come, because not only we had the capabilities, but the culture. Husband and wife, 2 companies, Orlando-based, and had the same tenets from a cultural standpoint.
Yeah.
Another fun story is we had been working after we kind of combined and started working on this Kathmandu project. And obviously, as you know, Jill and I spent a lot of time here and really got to know the team at Falcons. And these visions just started to expand. Cecil got really excited about the Kathmandu IP and started to think about content and production and doing things with the IP that Julie and I had never thought of. And I don't know, this must be a year and a half into our really serious relationship. We went out and had a glass of wine one night after dinner, or after a work day, just to kind of recap what had happened. And there's some pretty exciting things and advancements that were happening. And literally out of nowhere, Julie just kind of, I don't know, I'll say spoke this into existence. She literally looked at Cecil and said, I predict, I forecast, I see it, you are going to be the CEO of our combined companies.
No, no way.
Remember?
And I'm sitting there like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm literally a half a glass in, and I'm like,
she just threw it out there.
Out of nowhere.
Combine what now?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, Cecil was saying,
I'm content.
Julie, that's great. I love Kathmandu, but I've got my company. I've got Falcons, and Marty and I are thrilled and excited with where it's at and where we're going. And I think it both threw him for a loop and me. But I don't know that we ever even talked about it again.
After that, no.
Until 6-9 months later, just some things happened in the marketplace, and it just became a natural progression, a natural thing. And we had one serious conversation with just the 2 of us. And I think after maybe 1 hour of the conversation, we both looked at each other and said, let's do it.
Wow.
But it was just amazing that, you think of seeds being planted, and it just germinated and grew over time. And
it was from Julie's instinct for her to say it. It wasn't like calculated. It was just emotional at that time. Yeah.
And then just over time, it evolved, and the realization came of saying, wow, the strength and the talents and the expertise of the 2 different companies together, it really was 1 + 1 was 5. It was just so much different than what any other company in the industry had, and opened so many more doors.
No doubt.
That we just, it made sense. We jumped through it. And I got to say, it was the easiest merger I've ever heard of or seen. The talent of the people and the mindset, there was just no politics between the 2 groups. They just integrated.
It literally, the integration was so seamless, like it fit like a glove. It was beautiful. Yeah, the cultures were aligned.
And so then we just needed to find a president that could step in and help advance this. And so
I have my own Julie story, because it was Julie that called me when I was on the board of Falcons, and Julie called me and said, Cecil and Scott, they look at what you're doing and they think that you could really help at Falcons. Would you consider coming over and running the company? And it was, can I do it from London? No. Can I do it from New York? No. Miami? No. Boca? No.
What did you
has
have
to be
against Orlando?
So I came in part because of the conversation with Julie, but also because of the relationship with Cecil and Scott, and that how they set the tone for the business.
So you and Cecil go way back, right, Simon?
That's why he was on our board.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
of the long
we
relationship.
met. I mean, Cecil and I, throughout our careers, our paths have crossed. First time was nearly 25 years ago when I was at 4Kids, and Cecil was after the license for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that was our first opportunity to meet. But we really started to work more strategically together when Cecil approached Marvel for the license to open IMG Worlds of Adventure, design the Marvel experience for IMG Worlds
Largest
of Adventure.
indoor theme park in the world.
Yeah, and this was a really interesting moment at Marvel because we were on the cusp of realizing amazing experiences and amazing movies and everything, and to have the opportunity to work with Falcons to deliver what would be a true physical manifestation of the Marvel experience in Dubai was fantastic. And I saw the talent that the team had, but they're also IP sort of whisperers. They understood the IP as well as we did at Marvel, and that was so unique, so unusual.
That's not something you'd experienced in your career before?
No, you have people who have a superficial understanding of your characters. I know that this character and this character, they fight together sort of thing. But the Marvel, the understanding of Marvel within Falcons, you had true fans who were able to go toe-to-toe with the editors at Marvel and the creators at Marvel and talk about this character with this character and the relationships that they could have and how we could progress storylines. And it was an exciting moment.
Yeah. What do you remember about that?
Simon introduced us to some of the creatives, the creative directors, within Marvel. And one of the things I take pride in is, the fan base. We know our space. We know how to create theme parks. But to take an intellectual property and know the attributes of that, to sculpt that into this medium is unique.
It is.
Because there was so many comic books. They had over 1,600 IPs. It's almost unlimited.
Wow.
X-Men to Spider-Man to you name it, Iron Man, Thor. And so we had to find ones that were relevant to be a draw for consumers, right? Because people have this preconceived expectation of what to experience. And then there's other ones that you want to introduce that are unique and fresh, so it's not just what is expected either. So we had to find different villains. What other villains are there for Hulk? Hulk was one of our experiences. We introduced one of my first patented attractions, Circumotion. That's 240 people on a motion-based platform, all facing each other within a 3D dome that spins at 22 miles per hour. That gets you almost 1.5 Gs on your back if you spin it fast enough. And so we created all this patented technology, and we chose Hulk to grab this spaceship vehicle that we're within and hurl it. And so we were doing so many innovative things. The fact that Simon could understand how profound we were thinking, was a rich relationship that we had. And he gave us access to all the leadership within Marvel to brainstorm and collaborate on how that story is told. And the fact that Marvel recognized the fact that we knew all these villains that are not like mainstream. There are some derivative villains that Hulk would engage with. And we found some of those magical gems and created one of the most amazing experiences to date. If anyone gets a chance to go to Dubai, go on the Circumotion Hulk ride. It's pretty impressive.
Going to a theme park is the ultimate expression of an IP because you are actually immersed in that IP. And that, I think, is, aside from Julie and Marty and Scott and Cecil, that's what really attracted me to Falcons. The opportunity to be able to be driving, participating stories in a physical experience is something that is the utopia. And we're doing it. We're doing it.
It's a medium that we're used to doing. When we were given the opportunity to expand the Kathmandu IP, for example, we had to think about how these existing characters' stories would be told in new ways, like in media-based attractions, for example. And we were very aware that this was yours and Julie's baby. You guys actually created it. We wanted to mature it, and you gave us the trust to expand the universe.
Oh,
of
Julie had a
Kathmandu.
few moments.
Oh yeah. It's like, Cecil, do you really have to change the look of the characters?
6 years instead of 4 on the Yetis.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The 4 Yeti years is a must.
Right.
That's a staple.
Yeah, that's a staple. That's a staple. But yeah, and then now we've executed the content in so many different mediums. We have the game, we have the Roblox game, we have the actual
mobile
media
game.
for the mobile, and so all of a sudden, all these multiple lanes of Kathmandu is now living.
And so much more coming over the next few years.
I think that's the
More
key.
to come.
To be able to put those physical experiences into our sort of 360 multiplier, where we have the physical experience and then you watch the content and you buy the products and you play the game and then you go onto social media and engage with the content and then you come back to the park and so on and so on. It's this constant opportunity to engage with each aspect of Falcons. And I think that there's no one else that does that. We're doing it in ways that are very different to how they do it. And I think that's the key. We're a company that is set for the future. We're not a company that has a legacy of businesses that it has to fill through a pipe. Everything that we're building now is building on the foundation for future expansion.
I'm just really curious from your perspective, Cecil, just having Simon on board and what he's brought to the table. Can you speak to that?
You know, when I first approached Simon, you shared with me that you had found mass success in the Disney organization. So I said, look, I want to have you on our board. I want you to understand our vision. Would you join the board? And he said, I would love to. And then, of course, Julie thought maybe it should be greater than just the board. And that's when Julie approached Simon.
And the ultimate question that I asked Simon as part of the final decision making, and I've done this many times throughout my career, we're hiring executives, but for Simon it was different because more than a question, what I'm about to say, it was also a statement. And it was, the question was, are you ready to find out if you're as good as you think you are? And the statement side of that was, if you take this role, if you become president, Cecil and I commit that we will make sure you are not handcuffed. You will be free to achieve the success that you can drive this company to. And so you get to truly find out once and for all in this last big move of your career just exactly how good you are. So.
Well, guys, I mean, thank you so much for being here.
Thank
for
you.
Our
That's been
25th
great.
anniversary special. Scott, thanks again.
A pleasure.
Yes.
Partner. Partner.
Partner, we'll see you in 25 years.
All right.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thanks, Audrey.
Thank you.
That was great.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
guys. That wraps up this special celebration episode. Thanks again to all of my guests for sharing their wonderful memories. Happy 25th anniversary to all of our team members. A heartfelt thank you to our clients, partners, vendors, and everyone else who has helped us write our story over the years. And thanks to all of you, our faithful fans and supporters of Experience Imagination, for watching or listening. Our next episode will kick off another exciting and adventurous season, which is number 8 for us. See you then. Thank you for listening to Experience Imagination, a Falcons Creative Group production. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast. Be sure to check out falconscreativegroup.com and follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you have ideas for future episodes or just want to drop us a message, send an email to podcast@falconscreativegroup.com.